Hello and welcome to Sex in the News. We are the Siegel Brothers. Tonight we're going to do something a little bit different, kind of what we did last week. Rather than bring you a number of different news stories, we just want to talk a little bit about some of the key candidates that you should be thinking of this election.
So we'll begin with a big shout out to Emily's List.
Yes.
Right? I'm not sure exactly how long they've been doing this, but for a long time, at least since the 90s, they've been watching politicians' track records, voting records, and identifying those who are pro-choice, progressive values, pro-sexuality education, all of the things we stand for.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
So we thought we'd use this evening, since Election Day is coming up perilously close, and we're all terrified about what might happen, to just put in a couple extra plugs for some really wonderful politicians that we think anyone watching our show would be inclined to support.
Indeed. And I want to focus first on some of the key Senate races because, in a lot of ways, I don't want to say that the one is more important than the other, but in a lot of ways, the Senate seats are key to a lot of these issues.
Yeah, as we're seeing with the Supreme Court.
Right, exactly. And hopefully part of this is also going to basically replace, let's really hope and pray that if we get no other result, we can get rid of Mitch McConnell.
And Lindsey Graham.
Hopefully, the people of South Carolina, you're going to take care of that
and
one
John
for
Cornyn.
us. Well, that's, again, one of the things that we're going to be looking at here. So I want to just sort of put these names out for you. So if you haven't voted already, that these are basically people that you probably should be voting for.
These are people we need in the United States Senate.
Indeed. For those of you in Kansas, believe it or not, there are some progressive people in Kansas. In particular, we have Barbara Bollier running for the U.S. Senate in Kansas. She's a medical doctor. She's been a public servant for many, many years. She has been tirelessly fighting for families and working people in Kansas. And she is running against the incumbent Republican Pat Roberts.
Who was run unopposed, if I recall.
Has been running
quite
opposed,
a while,
yes.
Right.
So
been there too long.
Right.
Go.
So Barbara, that's hopefully we can get you in there.
Okay.
So people in Kansas, there's your choice.
Sarah Gideon in Maine is running for a Senate seat against Susan Collins.
Yes, we need to replace that seat.
Interesting career, right? She's always had this luxury of being, I'm so opposed. That she's like, this kind of pseudo conscience that she could be one of the 54 that might. Now I'm sure she'll vote for the Supreme Court nomination anyway.
And
but she could pretend to object.
Right, and even if she doesn't, she's really good at that sort of fake vote. If she knows that every one of her colleagues are going to do this, she can play the resistance and say, oh, no, I'm voting against it, knowing it's a throwaway vote. So Sarah Gideon, we wish you a lot of luck there in defeating Susan Collins. For those of you in Iowa, we've got Teresa Greenfield.
There's a flippable state.
Yes, indeed. And again, this is one we also have to get rid of. Another Susan Collins type of Republican, although she's so much worse.
I have more respect for Susan Collins than for Joni Ernst.
Yeah, okay, I'm going to give you that one, absolutely.
Oh, she's got to go.
Yes, Teresa Greenfield is running against Joni Ernst. And again, she has been really, really great at fighting for economic opportunities for everybody.
If anybody saw clips on the news of the debate, right, she's an Iowan, and she knows the agricultural problems Iowans face.
Exactly.
Joni Ernst couldn't even understand a question that was asked her about farming.
Right. I mean, Teresa grew up on a farm, so that's something that we need to get
I
in.
never imagined I would say this in my entire life, but I'm really excited about Texas. And this New York Jew is thrilled about Texas and the possibility that MJhagar might replace John Cornyn, and that the entire state may. It's been purpling quite a bit recently, and they're pretty fed up with our president.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's another good possibility. Folks in Texas should be behind Hagar's Run.
Right. Let's say goodbye to John Cornyn, please.
Yeah.
Right. So we're counting on you, people in Texas. In Idaho, right, we've got Paulette Jordan, who's also running against the incumbent Republican Jim Risch. She can be, if she gets elected, she will be the first Native American senator in the history of this country.
That would be awesome.
It really is. And talk about credentials. She has got cred up one side and down the other. You could not have a better choice there in Idaho than Paulette Jordan.
In New Hampshire, we have Jean Shaheen.
Right?
Yes.
Remember, in New Hampshire, she was the first woman governor in the country.
In the whole country.
Yeah.
Right? And that's a must-win. Unless you usually don't think of New Hampshire as a swing state, but it's pretty important.
It is,
to
and
flip
she's
that Senate seat, to hold that.
To hold that seat. That's it. It was a narrow victory in 2018, and we want to make this a loud, screaming victory in 2020.
Same thing with Minnesota. Keep
Yes.
Minnesota blue, right, and support Tina Smith. Again, awesome. Was she with Planned Parenthood?
Yes, she was the president of Planned Parenthood of Minnesota, North Dakota, and South Dakota. So again, you want to talk about
It'd be
a
nice
champion,
to have in the Senate.
Yeah,
right?
Of women's health, women's reproductive rights, everybody's reproductive rights,
economic opportunity.
Absolutely,
in the state of Minnesota.
Absolutely. So again, another call to re-elect Tina Smith.
Yes. On the House side, of course, there are way more House seats and
many.
way more candidates, but we'll just give some shout-outs. Marquita Bradshaw in Tennessee, Antoine Pierce in Louisiana.
We've got Madeline Dean in Pennsylvania, the 4th District there. Celeste Williams in Arkansas. We definitely need to add a little blue into Arkansas.
There is a lot of blue in Arkansas and Iowa. A lot of
Yeah.
coasters don't realize that there's some real solid blue pockets in Wisconsin. All these swing states, blue. Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania. There is no sane reason why they went for Trump by a hair the way they did.
Well, let's go from pockets to full pants.
There you go.
Okay. There's also Carolyn Bordeaux in Georgia.
Adrian Bell in Texas, go Texas, and Gina Ortiz Jones, both running for House seats in Texas in the 14th and 23rd districts, respectively. The third, Julia Oliver, is also in the 25th district of Texas. That'd be a nice thing, see a blue
indeed.
sweep in Texas. Sheila Jackson Lee, of course, already a wonderful member of Congress, is running to hold her seat in Texas.
Yep. Audrey Denny in California. Deb Haaland in New Mexico. That's going to be also a good race there.
Keep New Mexico blue.
Right. John Hoadley, who's running in the 6th Congressional District in Michigan.
Nikema Williams in Georgia, and Marie Newman in Illinois. I've heard her speak, Joyce Beatty. She's a powerhouse in Ohio. And Janine Lee Lake in Indiana.
And we also have in Missouri, Cori Bush. Also in Missouri, we have Emmanuel Cleaver and Kathy Ellis. So this is, Missouri is really going to be featured as, a real call out on this election.
As is Texas.
Yep.
There are 5 more House seats up in Texas. Emily's List is endorsing Wendy Davis, Candace Valenzuela, Rashad Lewis,
And all from Texas.
Lulu Sikeli, and Lisa Welch.
Yeah, indeed.
That would be so great to see Texas turn blue. Just, that Austin, Houston thing just spread out instead of being these little blue islands in a sea of red. Let's turn Texas at least purple.
And, let's also not forget in Texas that a lot of those border towns like San Antonio are also blue towns.
Absolutely.
Right?
And, they get cross-border peace and harmony better than anybody.
That's right.
Why isn't anybody talking to those people?
No. I guess we kind of tried with Beto O'Rourke.
Beto O'Rourke, right. It was a nice try.
In Wisconsin, we've got Amanda Stuck, Danny Brozowski in Illinois, and I want to give a special shout out to Pam Keith here in the
yes.
18th Congressional
We've got
District
to
in
vote.
Florida.
We've got to vote.
Indeed.
Nice. Ouch.
Right. Brian Mast has got to
Mast.
go.
Yeah.
We featured him in our
Poetic
Poetic
Justice.
Justice a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
You know, and just
He's
to remind
too busy
people.
thinking about 15-year-old girls to be a member of the Congress.
Right. If
Right.
you remember, he's the one that said his friend who is still over in Afghanistan, I hope you have sex with all these 15-year-old girls.
'Cause
And
it's
don't let the
illegal
rape turn
there,
into a
right?
murder.
Oh,
All right,
gosh.
just to remind you of what kind of guy he is.
Nick Rubando is running in Ohio. Several Ohio seats are up. Kate Schroeder, Desiree Timms, Kathy Kunkel. We have Christine Bubser in California, Deborah Ross in North Carolina, Michelle De La Isla in Kansas. I love, I hate to show my bias so clearly, but I love seeing these faces of color, these names with an
Indeed.
ethnic twist in places like Kansas
Yes.
and Missouri. It's
Exactly.
so nice to see.
Exactly.
Val Almenard in Georgia, Lindsey Simmons in Missouri, Kojo Asamoah Caesar in Oklahoma. A black man running for Congress in Oklahoma.
Indeed.
Big props.
Right, and then just to kind of round out our list, we've got Patricia Timmons Goodson in North Carolina, and back to our home state, Florida, we've got Meg Gorman, in Tennessee, and Cindy Lynn Banier in Florida.
Yes.
So again, hopefully we want to give just a shout out to all these people. We hope that we can see this wave of blue.
Yes, let's
in
have
this
another
election
repeat.
coming up.
Let's take the 2018 blue wave and make it a tsunami and bring more women, more people of color, more women of color. So the Congress, for the first time in our country's history, represents the populace of this country. So obviously, we really want to encourage people to vote. It is crucially important to protect the values that most Americans stand behind for fairness and equality for everyone.
Everyone, yeah.
And to get that done, we need to get rid of these some of these conservative dinosaurs that frankly do not care about all Americans' rights.
Right. So the idea of flipping some of these districts is so that we have our voice. You know, I know a lot of you know, but maybe some of you don't really know that we do have so many of these people who are supposed to represent us, but they represent corporations. They represent big money. Right? We saw that with Trump bragging about all of his tax breaks and all of that, but that didn't go to middle class, working class people. That was only the mega corporations.
I didn't get no tax break.
Right? The people making, and most businesses did not, only the big ones. So it's really important that you do get out there and vote. And we know that these are kind of crazy times right now. So if you are going to vote early or you're going to vote on election day, you are voting in person, please just be aware there might be people there to harass you. We know that there are people who are supposed to be there inside, poll workers. These are legitimate people. These are people who have the authority to be there. But as we've heard everybody calling out, there are going to be poll watchers, which are just people taking it upon themselves to come and usually harass people.
Intimidate people.
And intimidate
Just
people.
stand there with guns in these open carry states.
Exactly.
Just-
So if you do experience any kind of harassment or intimidation at your polling location,
Get your cell phone out.
right. First thing you do, call the police.
No, record.
All right.
Start recording what you see and report it.
All right, there you go. So record it, then report it. But if you feel like you have to leave, before you do, make sure you get a provisional ballot. Do not let them chase you away empty-handed.
Yeah.
Right? That's something that people need to be aware of.
That's another tactic. If they can't suppress your vote, they'll try and intimidate you from casting it. So
Right.
don't
Right.
let the bastards win.
Exactly. So vote. Get out there. Make your voice heard. And thank you for watching and sticking with us. And we'll see you next week.